Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a good time last night. Some of the concepts I'm going to talk to you about are some that we've implemented at Fabletics and some that we are planning to implement because we've learned a lot about them as we've gone through our journey with RFID and sustainability. One of the things that I've really learned as I've gone through this journey is with the Gen Z consumer, they don't really just want to buy products, right? They want to buy proof. They want to know that the products that they're purchasing have been made responsibly, right? They want them delivered pretty fast, and they want to know that the companies we work for, that they're buying products for, that they stand for something. At Fabletics, I have the privilege of running our supply chain organization, and with that, I've organized our sustainability function, and I've also led our RFID transformation program. Both of these initiatives have really reshaped how we think about transformation, how we think about transparency, how we think about customer trust, and how we think about operational excellence. Through this experience, I've really been fascinated about how technology is reshaping what it means to build trust between a brand and between a customer. Let's start with Gen Z. When I was first asked to talk about Gen Z, I actually really wanted to look up and define what do we mean by a Gen Z customer. And there are a couple things that came to mind. These are really consumers that grew up on technology, right? They're a value-driven customer, and they typically ask, how fast did my product get here? Who made it? Were the people making it treated fairly? And what footprint did that product leave? They really want to know not just about the price or the style, but they want to know about the speed, the values, and the verification of that product. There was an article that McKinsey wrote, The Price is Not Right, and in that article, it said that about 40% of Gen Z and millennials say environmental impact is an extremely or very important factor when making fashion purchases, and that's nearly double the rate of boomers. Another article I read said that flawless convenience, if it's not fast, it's forgotten. Gen Z expects speed, transparency, and zero friction with products in stock, delivered fast, and tracked in real time. So again, really just saying they want it fast, they want it responsibly, and they want it verified. And when you really think about it, the traditional supply chains that most of us run today, they're really not cutting it. One of the things that's interesting is the demand for transparency. It's not really limited to Gen Z. We're seeing it reflected in regulation right now. You've got California's SB 253 regulation, 261 on climate disclosure. You see it in the EU's digital product passport. You also see it in the CPSC traceability regulations. So it's that transparency isn't an option anymore. It's a prerequisite for participation in the market. The challenge we have is a lot of us are collecting the data. We're just not connecting the data. The opportunity isn't transparency for compliance. It's transparency for a competitive advantage, using that information to build trust, improve quality, and empower a faster, cleaner supply chain. So, as I mentioned, at Fabletics, we recently rolled out our RFID program to more than 100 stores, and we're finding it's not just helping with our inventory control, but it's helping to build trust with our consumer. And by trust, I mean our consumers know when our product's going to be in stock. They know when it's going to be available. They know where that product traveled across our entire supply chain because each tag gives that product a digital identity. So let's talk about how this all relates to the last mile. When most of us think of the last mile, they picture going online, tracking a package, watching a UPS or FedEx truck show up on a map, and that's really not what we have anymore. We're not looking at transactional fulfillment anymore. We're really looking at more of an experience. We're looking at same-day delivery. We're looking at curbside pickup. We're looking at lockers. We're looking at bikes. I was recently in Europe, and while not an ideal experience, I ordered Uber Eats, and it was delivered to me by someone who was on a bike. Probably not the best for Uber Eats, but the concept of using a bike is pretty cool right now when we're talking about last mile. But I say that to say a lot of these new methods of last mile are really redefining how and where we shop. We're also adding predictive models to help us pre-position inventory near high-demand stores to shorten the last mile when the order is placed. So it's really changing from a like I said, a transactional delivery experience to more of a brand experience. How I get the product, when I get the product, and why I use that delivery method to get there. So I'm going to give you a scenario because I want to connect all these concepts together. You've got a Gen Z shopper. They go into the store Saturday afternoon. They see a pair of leggings they want to buy. Those leggings may or may not be in stock. In this particular scenario, the leggings are not in stock. That store associate is able to look across our entire supply chain, other stores in the area, find that exact pair of leggings, and that shopper then goes out, has brunch with their friends, and we're able to have those leggings delivered to them at a drop-off locker or delivered to them at home by the time they finish brunch, because we know exactly where those leggings are, and we've used one of these new methods for delivery to get them to their home or to that locker by the time they finish lunch. To that shopper, it's what they expect. They think everything is connected instantaneously, but to us, it took a lot of effort to make that happen, right? We've implemented RFID to make sure we know where that product is, to provide that transparency. We've had predictive quality models in place to make sure we know that that product is produced well, where we want to have it in our supply chain. We've implemented last mile. We've got the lockers in place. We've got all these modes of delivering the product in place. And through all of that, we were able to meet the values of that Gen Z shopper so that they get the leggings that they wanted the same day within a few hours. Another example is you've implemented these RFID tags across your network from the factory all the way to your retail floors. Every garment has that digital passport information. That visibility has allowed the company to forecast any quality issues you may or may not have before they reach the customer. You'll be able to spot material deviations. You'll be able to spot misshipments, issues with quality. And then from a sustainability lens, you'll be able to track overproduction. You'll be able to track problems with materials back to their origin. You'll be able to enable resale, recycling, and circularity programs. So everything links back to connecting that data through that tag and collecting all of your networks together. So you've now turned RFID and supply chain visibility into really measuring your sustainability journey as well. How it became a personal journey for me is, at Fabletics, especially during that COVID era, the company started facing rapid growth. Everyone was at home. They were wearing their leggings. They stopped wearing their dress-up clothes to work. So we had rapid growth. We had a very complicated, global, complex network, and the customers wanted that product, and they wanted it now. So we needed to have a faster and a cleaner supply chain. So again, we started small. We put the RFID tags on our retail garments. We haven't implemented across the entire supply chain. And for our stores, the goal was simple. We wanted to reduce our counts in the stores. We wanted to reduce that time receiving. And we wanted to improve our inventory accuracy. But what really happened was I started to see a lot of hidden inefficiencies. Instead of knowing that I had 100 products in a store, I knew exactly which 100 products I had. I knew what product was in the front of the store versus what product was in the back of the store. When we found that we had a problem with a particular item, we were able to identify where that was across the entire network and deal with that all the way down to which factory had made that product. So we really started to predict quality issues a little bit early. So it turned RFID into an early warning system for us, something that we were able to deal with so that we didn't have to get issues from our customers. Once we started to manage that data from implementing RFID, I started to realize, what if I then connect that to what we're learning from sustainability? So with sustainability, we're starting to track where our products are made all around the world, starting from where the cotton was even picked for the leggings, for the t-shirt, for the jacket. And so as we start to connect that together, we're really gonna have a full suite of operational metrics. So what I imagine, it could be a big imagination, but this is what I imagine. One of our spokespeople is Khloe Kardashian, so she goes viral, right? She's got a new pair of leggings. Everybody wants the leggings. we get a huge spike in demand for those leggings, and then all of a sudden, we have to figure out how to fulfill those leggings across our network. But now I know where my leggings are. I can fulfill them from our fulfillment center, I can fulfill them from the stores, and I can get them to the customers a lot sooner because I've connected all this data. I know exactly where my product is, and I'm using a lot of these new methods to deliver to my customers, whether it's via someone riding a bike, whether it's dropping it off at a locker, or whether it's shipping from a store to make sure the customer gets what they need. And the reality of all this is none of these concepts that I'm talking about are new. They're all things that we've been talking about for years. But the key is connecting all the data, right? Connecting the data, putting the links in place so that you can build more trust with your consumer within your brand and making sure that you're meeting the needs of your consumer. Because at the end of the day, every tag's gonna tell a story. It's gonna tell that journey of that product from where the fabric was made to where it ends up at that end consumer, where it goes for resale, and that story is gonna be the story of your brand. And that's it.